I went, why don't we have an Indigenous restaurant in Vancouver? He's like, oh my God, you're giving me shivers. Let's work day and night on, let's make it happen.
Communicating through food, I think that's a very Indigenous way of doing anything.
This is our signature bannock. We make it fresh daily.
Our whole team is Indigenous. We've been underrepresented for a really long time, and I think it's really important to represent. Morning, Salmon N Bannock. My name is Inez Cook. My traditional name is Snitsmana. I'm from the Newhook Nation in Bella Coola, British Columbia, and I live in Vancouver on the ancestral and unceded lands of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people. And I'm the owner of Salmon N Bannock. Salmon N Bannock is the only Indigenous restaurant in Vancouver City proper. So the one thing with Indigenous food is that it's not just one thing. Since we have over 600 nations.
You know, right now back home in our homelands, it's salmon season. So we get like our sockeye, coho, chum, pink salmon, and we harvest it all. We got sockeye, coho salmon.
We have very simple ingredients. A lot of the salts with the fish dishes, for example, we'll use seaweed. I like taking the medicines that we have that are usually often used for cleansing or spiritual beliefs. So we'll take sage and sweetgrass and we infuse our berries with that. And we do sweet and savory things with that. Bannock has become known as an Indigenous bread. Originally, we wanted to do bannock bread pudding on the menu for leftover bannock, but we don't have leftover bannock.
We usually make about 4 or 5 dozen per day, every morning. So everybody enjoys it, they love it.
What bannock is a form of flatbread or a very easy bread to make. It just consists of like flour, baking powder, and water. But what makes it so special is that it doesn't matter who makes it. Every version of bannock that you find will be great.
The Scots called it bannock, and that name just really stuck. And that's why I put it in my name, so Indigenous people know this is your place. I was born in Bella Coola, British Columbia. I'm part of what's known as the 60 Scoop, and that's when the government forcibly took away the Indigenous children and adopted them to non-Indigenous people. So at 1 year old is when they came to Bella Coola and they took me away. And I ended up getting adopted out in Vancouver. I didn't know I was part of the 60 Scoop until I became an adult. None of this information was shared in our curriculums or education growing up. It was always Canada's dirty little secrets. And when I was in Montreal, I saw a tiny little ad that said flight attendants urgently needed and must speak French. I thought, oh my God, how cool would that be? I wanted to meet the world. I started a career in aviation, and that afforded me the opportunity to live all over the world in several countries. And I saw culture. I was yearning for culture, and I felt like, I can't believe I don't have a culture. A lot of us didn't have the pleasure of growing up in our culture. We didn't grow up in our culture, we didn't grow up with our language, our foods, our communities, a lot of us. And so it's this urban gathering place for Indigenous people. I've been learning more about my own Indigeneity through the restaurant.
That is our candied salmon dish, one of our popular items on our appetizer menu. We finish it off with a little extra maple syrup and sweetgrass cherries, just for that extra flair.
It's nice to kind of work with other Indigenous people and also learn like the other Indigenous cuisines, because my tribe is from up north. So I think my favorite one is learning different cuisines with the southern tribe.
Being an all-Indigenous restaurant and kind of navigating that space in between what it means to be Indigenous in an urban space that wasn't always built for us.
Family is stronger when we're all together, and working here, it kind of just goes without saying.
Just getting to work with other Native people, I think it's a big thing. I think that's why a lot of people work here.
We opened the restaurant during the 2010 Olympics, February 15th, 2010. The Olympics are coming, the whole world is coming. What's the first thing I do when I travel to a country? I eat food from the land. That's what I do. That's what I've been doing forever. I love culture. I love celebrating culture. And the best way to learn about culture is through food. Amazing. So it was really hard because nobody was allowed to stop on Broadway. The restaurant industry didn't know me because I was from aviation. The Indigenous world didn't know me because I was adopted. So we had no customers for a long time, and we had a lot to prove. You know, one thing with Indigenous cuisine, we only have one chance to make a good impression. So that's a lot of pressure.
I never really thought of an Indigenous restaurant when I first came here. And so to see what kind of food we make here and how it's prepped, and the beauty of it too.
So what we got going on here is our bison gravy. Our bison is slow roasted, 24 hours, slow and slow.
Just by simply touching it from how bouncy the meat around it is, it's basically fall apart ready.
It's very delicious. I love it. They say it's the only Indigenous restaurant or something like that. So I was like, I have to try it out.
We're heading to Granville Island Public Market, and we get our sausages made locally for us, our game sausages. So the way that I do my shopping, my first choice is always Indigenous, of course. Second choice is local. Third choice is Canada. And then last choice is Turtle Island, which is known as North America. It's sometimes challenging because I have 2 restaurants and over 30 staff. I didn't have restaurant history in Vancouver. Nobody knew who I was. The Newhall community didn't know me either because I'm adopted. And the first one came in and he reported back to the community and he said, I don't know her, but she looks 100% Newhall. Then another lady came in and she was this firing squad of questions. And I was like, all I know was my biological mother's first name. That's all I got. So she got on the phone, she hung up, she stood up. I put her tea down and she was there with her arms extended and she said, let me be the first to welcome you home. We're family. All my childhood, I used to have these nightmares and I'd wake up crying and I would hear this lady's voice talking to me, but I couldn't understand what she was saying. And I just wanted to answer. And it wasn't until I went to Bella Coola as an adult, I found out that my biological mother only spoke Newhall to me. I went to my first potlatch and I got reintroduced to my community and I received my traditional name. It was the first time in my life I felt good in my own skin. There was 500 people at this potlatch and I found out I was related to all of them. It's like I have a lifetime of playing catch up, of being proud. I have big shoes to fill and to walk forward in, thinking about all those ancestors, and I think about what my late biological mother would have thought now. I went to my biological mother's gravesite when I was in Bella Coola, and an eagle flew down and landed on her gravesite, and then it flew away. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? I just could not stop crying. Family that was there was like, your mom can rest in peace, you came to visit. I reconnected to my community after opening the restaurant. Now I'm taking all of you on my very personal journey within. And so hopefully you feel that in the food, in the walls, with all the beautiful art, and every bite. I've written my story, which I can pass around. I wrote it in a children's book format because children are the future and children understand the truth. Imagine when I was a little girl and if I saw Indigenous role models all around that I could have been proud. Now, there's a lot of amazing Indigenous people doing amazing work. The younger generation, you see a lot of them are flourishing. They're learning the language, they're learning the traditions, they're learning the culture, and they're our future.